Selamünaleyküm. Euzu billahi mineşşeytanirracim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Esselatu vesselamu ala Resulina Muhammedin seyyidina ve aleyhi ve sellem. Qala Resulullah sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem min hina yakhruju ahadukum min manzilihi ila mescidihi فرجل تكتب حسنة وأخرى تمحو سيئة. Peygamber sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem buyuruyor ki sizden biri mescide gitmek için evinden çıktığı andan itibaren
Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, says that whoever when leaving the house in order to go to the masjid,
yani bu evine niyet ediyor mescide namaza gitmek için, o
you make the intention in your house to go to the masjid, and then thereupon having made that intention you make one step out of your house in order to go to the masjid.
Evden çıktığı andan itibaren ayaklarından biri sevap yazarken,
and the moment you then step outside of your home in order to go to the masjid, you must know that Allah Almighty will reward you for every step one foot takes,
diğeri günahını siler.
and Allah Almighty will forgive a sin for every step the other foot takes.
Yani camiye gitmek öyle bir güzel vesile olur, yani hem sevap kazanır hem günahlarını affolmasına.
Thus, going to the masjid is a great means in order to obtain rewards and also to be forgiven for one's sins.
Niyetin olur. Daha namaz kılmadan, yani yolda giderken bile o sevabı nail olur insan.
Besides the prayer itself, one will thus also be obtaining rewards just walking to the masjid.
قال Resulullah sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem men gada ila'l mescid ve raha a'addallahu lehu nuzulan minel cennet kullama gada ve raha. Peygamber sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem buyuruyor ki her kim sabah akşam mescide giderse,
Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said that whoever goes to the masjid morning time and night time,
her sabah ve akşam gidişinde Allah ona cennette ineceği bir yer hazırlar.
Allah Almighty will, for every time he goes to the masjid morning time and evening night time, he will get a place in paradise for every time.
Yani bunlar camiye namaza giden insanlar için müjdedir.
These are glad tidings to those who go to the masjid in order to attend their prayers there.
Yani camiye gitmesi, insan gidiyor, ne kazandığının haberi yok.
People are unaware of the blessings they will be receiving when they go to the masjid.
Çok büyük, Allah onlara mükafatlar hazırlamış ahirette.
Allah Almighty has prepared great rewards and great divine favors for those who go to the masjid in the hereafter.
قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من مشى إلى صلاة مكتوبة في الجماعة فهي كحجة ومن مشى إلى صلاة تطوع فهي كعمرة نافلة. Peygamber sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem söylüyor ki kim farz bir namazı cemaatle kılmak için mescide yürürse,
Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, says that whoever goes to the masjid in order to complete a fard prayer,
bu namazının sevabı hac sevabı gibidir.
the reward of that prayer performed at the masjid in congregation will be as valuable as having performed the hajj.
Yani ezan okunuyor, ezandan önce
So when the adhan is recited or prior to the adhan,
farz cemaatle farzı kılan cemaate katılmak için giden o insan,
when a person then goes to the masjid in order to be part of the Jama'ah and to attend to the obligatory prayer in congregation,
o hac namazın hac sevabı gibi
one will be then rewarded with the reward as if one had performed the hajj.
oluyor. Yani o kadar büyük sevap vardır.
There are these great rewards to be obtained when going to the masjid in order to attend the prayer in Jama'ah at the masjid and to perform the fard prayer in congregation.
Kim de nafile namaz için mescide yürürse bu namazda sevabı da ömre sevabı gibidir.
And whoever goes to the masjid in order to fulfill a nafila prayer, one will be obtaining the rewards and blessings of having fulfilled an umrah.
Peygamber sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem. Büyük mükafatlar var Allah azze ve celle.
There are great rewards to be obtained by going to the masjid and performing one's prayer there.
Namaz kılanlara, camiye giden cemaate katılanlara
There are great rewards and blessings to be obtained by those who perform their prayers, those who go to the masjid in order to perform their prayers, and those who attend the congregation in the masjid.
Büyük şeyler var, mükafatlar var. İnsanlar haberi yok, haberi olmasını istemeyen çok insan var ama
There are great rewards to be obtained to go to the masjid and perform one's prayers there, and people are unaware of it, and there are also many people who don't want people to become aware of it.
Allah Azze ve Celle o namazı kılan, cemaatine kılan için büyük mükafatlar hazırlamıştır.
Allah Almighty has prepared great rewards and great divine favors for those who perform their prayers at the masjid in Jama'ah.
قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم المشاؤون إلى المساجد في الظلم أولئك الخواصون في رحمة الله أولئك الخواضون في رحمة الله تعالى. Peygamber sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem buyuruyor ki karanlıkta mescitlere gidenler Allah'ın rahmetine dalanlardır.
Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, says that who go to the masjid while it's still dark outside, or when it is dark outside, they are the ones who dive into the oceans of mercy of Allah Almighty.
Yani rahmet denizlerine dalanlardır. O gece, akşam, yatsı, sabah namazına gidip böyle karanlıkta gidenler.
Those who go to the masjid for Maghrib, Isha, or Fajr prayer while it's still dark outside are the ones who dive in the oceans of mercy of Allah Almighty.
Allah'ın rahmet denizlerine dalmışlar. O denizde, rahmet denizlerinde yüzüyorlar.
They dive in the oceans of mercy of Allah Almighty and they swim in those oceans.
قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا توضأ أحدكم في بيته ثم أتى المسجد كان في صلاة حتى يرجع فلا يقل هكذا وشبك بين أصابعه. Peygamber sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem buyuruyor ki biriniz evinde abdestini alıp sonra mescide giderse
Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, says that whoever makes ablution and then leaves one house in order to go to the masjid,
evine geri dönünceye kadar namazda sayılır.
that person will then, until he returns home, be considered as if he was standing in prayer.
Yani o yürüyüş, namaz kılmasa bile o vakit namaz kılmış gibi sayılır diyor buyurdu Peygamber sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem.
Just having performance ablution, leaving one's house in order to go to the masjid, and then coming back home, the entire time span will be considered as if one was performing a prayer and standing in prayer.
Sonra parmaklarını birbirine kenetleyerek bu sırada namaza sayıldığı için bu şekilde parmaklarını kenetlemesin buyurdu. Yani orada namazdır ama yani o ellerini bağlamaya gerek yok.
And while one is considered as if one was praying, when going to the masjid and coming back from the masjid home, one does not need to bind one's hands together as if one was standing in prayer while walking.
O normal yürüyebilir, o bile namaz sayılır ama yani namaz hareketlerini, el bağlamalarını gerekmez.
So walking to the masjid and walking home from the masjid is considered as if one was praying, but one does not need to make the movements of prayer while walking. One does not need to bind one's hands together while walking.
قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا توضأ أحدكم فأحسن وضوءه ثم خرج عامدا إلى المسجد فلا يشبكن أصابعه فإنه في صلاة. Peygamber sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem buyuruyor ki sizden biriniz abdestini aldı, adabına riayet ederek güzel bir şekilde alıp sonra mescide kas ederek yola çıktığı zaman el parmaklarını birbirinden kenetlemesin çünkü o kişi o sırada namazda sayılmaktadır. Yani o gene abdest alıp da evden çıkıp da ellerini yani namazdaki bir tutmasına gerek yok.
Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, says that when one takes proper ablution, making sure that one observes the good manners of ablution, and then leaves the house in order to go to the masjid, while that time span is considered to be in prayer during that time while one goes to the masjid, one does not need to bind one hands together as if one was standing in prayer while walking.
O gene namazda sayılır. Kâle Resulullah sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem aftal ribat as-salah ve lüzum mecalet zikr ve ma min abdin yusalli thumma yaqad fi musallah illa في المصلى إلا لم تزل الملائكة تصلي عليه حتى يحدث أو يقوم. Peygamber sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem buyuruyor ki Allah yolunda cihat halinde olmanın faziletli hali, yani ribat dedi, düşmana karşı nöbet beklemek.
And our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings, speaks about the ribat, about the blessings of and the great merits of when during times of jihad to stand guard, to be ready against the enemy, and to stand in defense and to watch out.
O gece çok büyük sevaplar var. O namaz hali de o namaz kılmak o vazifeyi yapar.
And while there are great rewards to be obtained to stand guard and to remain vigilant and to watch out and to look in defense for enemies, when one performs one's prayer and when one stands in one's prayer, our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, says it is as valuable as if one was standing on guard and as if one was remaining vigilant in order to watch out for the enemy.
Bizim ribat halinde yok kimse, çok az yani olanlar.
There are only a few who are truly in that state of ribat, who stand vigilant and ready for the sake of Allah Almighty.
Ama biz durduğumuz yerde de o ecri kazanıp namaz halimiz o ve zikir meclislerine devam etmektir.
However, if we are persistent in our worship and in our prayers and in going to dhikr, we will be obtaining the rewards of being ready for Allah Almighty and standing guard for Allah Almighty and being vigilant for Allah Almighty and getting the rewards of that state of ribat.
Namaz ve zikir meclislerine devam ettiniz mi? Bu ribat dedi Peygamber sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem mübarek ibadetin yerini tutar.
When you perform your prayers, when you do not give in, when you go to dhikr, and when you are constant and persistent in your worship, then you will be obtaining the rewards as our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, described, of having performed ribat, meaning that you stand ready and vigilant and on guard for the sake of Allah Almighty.
Namaz kılıp sonra namaz kıldığı yerde diğer namazı beklemek için oturan bir kul abdesti bozunca ve abdesti elinden kalkıncaya kadar melekler kendine devamlı dua eder.
And our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, says that whoever, after having performed one's prayer, sits down and waits for the next prayer, or unless one stands up in order to break one's wudu or renew one's ablution, the angels will be praying on that person's behalf.
İnsan orada boşuna oturmaz.
So when you sit there, having performed one prayer and waiting for the next prayer, you don't sit there for nothing.
Melekler ona dualarını yapıyorlar.
The angels make supplications and makes prayers for you.
قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الله تعالى إذ أنزل عاهة من السماء على أهل الأرض صرفت عن عمار المساجد. Peygamber sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem buyuruyor ki Yüce Allah gökyüzünden yeryüzünün ahalisine bir afet indirdiği zaman bu afet mescitleri inşa edenlerin üzerinden def edilir.
Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, says that when Allah Almighty makes a calamity descend onto the earth, He then lifts that calamity for the sake of those who have built masjids and who have contributed to the construction of masjids.
Yani bu mescit, cami yapanlar için bir hastalık ya bir şey olursa, Allah'tan gelen bir şey varsa onlar o afetlerden kurtulmuş olurlar.
When Allah Almighty sends a calamity, whether it's a disease or any other difficult state, Allah Almighty will then, for the sake of those good people who have built masjids or who have contributed to the construction of masjid, forgive and lift that calamity.
İnna Resulullah sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem inna ammar buyutullah hum ehlullah. Peygamber sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem buyuruyor ki Allah'ın evlerini, mescitlerini inşa edenler Allah'ın ahalisindendir. Allah'ın sevdiği, Allah'ın kullarındandır diyor.
Those who build masjids, those who help build masjids, are those servants whom Allah Almighty loves.
Yani cami yapanlar, mescit yapanlar Allah'ın sevdiği kulları.
Allah Almighty loves those who build mosques, who build masjids.
قال Resulullah sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem edaretim raci'atadul mescadet feşhedû lehu bil iman. Peygamber sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem buyuruyor ki bir adamın mescitlere gitmeyi alışkanlık haline getirdiğini görürseniz zaman onun imanlı olduğuna şahitlik ediniz.
If you see somebody to regularly attend the prayer at the masjid and to participate in the Jama'ah, then you may testify the faith of that person and you may testify that that person is a believer.
Yani adam camiye gidiyor, biz gördüğümüz budur, ona şehadet ediyoruz iman üzerine olduğu için.
When you see someone and that person goes to the masjid and regularly goes to the masjid to attend the prayers there in Jama'ah, then you shall testify that that person is a believer with iman and you may testify that person's faith.
قال Resulullah sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem inna Allah Teala yekul inni lahum bi ehli abd azaban فإذا نظرت إلى عمار بيوتي والمتحابين فيها ومستغفرين الأصحاب صرفت عذابي عنهم. Peygamber sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem buyuruyor ki Yüce Allah Azze ve Celle yeryüzü halkına murat ettiğim zaman yani Allah Azze ve Celle insanlar azmış, onlara azaba müstahak olduğu halde diyor.
Allah Almighty says that at the moment when people have trespassed their boundary and have crossed their limits and have gone wild in their bad behavior,
Allah Azze ve Celle evlerimi inşa eden, mescitleri inşa edenleri, benim için birbirlerini sevenleri ve seher vaktinde istiğfar edenleri gördüğümde onlara azap etmekten vazgeçerim.
When people have become worthy of punishment, I will not send that affliction, I will not send that calamity, Allah Almighty says, for the sake of those who have built masjids, who have helped build masjids, for the sake of those believers who love each other, and for the sake of those who in the morning time before dawn ask Allah Almighty for forgiveness and repent.
Allah Azze ve Celle bunların yüzü hürmetine Allah azabını insanlardan uzak tutuyor.
Allah Almighty will then revert that punishment, that calamity, that affliction, and He will lift that, and He will not punish people for the sake of those who have built mosques, of those believers who love each other, and of those who during morning time ask Allah Almighty for forgiveness and repent.
صدق رسول الله فيما قال كما قال زيادة شرف النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وصحبه الكرام وإلى أرواح جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين خدماء شرائع وإلى أرواح الأئمة الأربعة وإلى أرواح مشايخنا في الطريقة النكشبندية خاصة إمام الطريقة وغوث الخليفة خواجة بهاء الدين محمد بن يسير البخاري سيدنا عبد الخالق الجواني مولانا الشيخ شرف الدين دارساني مولانا الشيخ عبد الله فارس دارساني مولانا الشيخ محمد ناظم هذا الحقاني وسائر سادات والصديقين ومن حضرة المجاهدين المشاهير القلب والرفقاء حاج مصطفى ترابي جميع من جيش مشرف الله شهد بأن الله تعالى الفاتحة.